What's up, everybody? Big M here, and today we're doing our movie review on the movie Chef, which I feel didn't get enough time on the air in regards to commercials for trailers and exposure for itself and media out there. Because I didn't find out about it until just happened chance circumstances on mine. Was reading something about Iron Man stuff and Jon Favreau, which led to an article about his new movie Chef, which just came out a few months ago, end of May, beginning of June, came out May 30th. But again, I don't think enough people heard about it. I don't know many people who have heard about it, and most of them who have still yet to see it. So I definitely want to help spread the word out there. I feel it's a great movie, very fun, family oriented, something you can see by yourself or with family if you wanted to, or a significant other, with anybody really. You can see it with anybody. It's a fun flick. Has a really good cast, or really good ensemble cast. Most of them have smaller roles in the movie. The main part is Jon Favreau, and he's a star, and he wrote and directed it, which is pretty good. I definitely like Jon Favreau's style for directing and writing. I enjoy it. I do. I think he has a knack for what he writes and how he directs. He certainly has an eye for it. I feel, at least. It doesn't need to be Michael Bay crazy or Lucas or those huge names out there. I like him. I like him. He started off indie. I don't know, maybe not so much indie, but he started off smaller. When he first broke out with Swingers, that's another one of his. For everyone who knows him and people who might not, Swingers is a great flick. It's one of his big movies that really brought him into the limelight as an actor and director and writer, I should say, and everything like that. But yeah, the movie Chef, it is, he, as you can imagine, he's a chef in an LA restaurant, 40-something-year-old guy in LA, excuse me. He's trying to find his way. He kind of finds himself in a rut with what he's doing. Trying to reconnect with himself and his passion and his art and the love of cooking as a chef that he does, because in the restaurant he works in, I should say, it's a popular restaurant. It's well known. People go there often, and it's well known for the set menu that it has. And that's just something that, as a chef, kind of can be irritating, and it's very limiting because, being a chef, being a cook, being anything like that it's an art form. It's a form of art with what you create, how you present, flavors, textures, just everything in it is art in itself, in one form or another. And being limited to a strict menu and a strict way of doing things by his boss, who is played by Dustin Hoffman, who does a fantastic job in the small part that he does. But yeah, Dustin Hoffman is the owner of this restaurant, and he just wants Jon Favreau's character, Carl, to stick to the format, stick to what the people know. Don't switch it up. He's essentially afraid that if Favreau's character starts to mess with things and starts to do things differently and experiment, that he might lose his customers. He might lose the well-known name that he has to this place already from what they're serving. So he keeps him in a box, basically, which leads him to a long time working there and just being unhappy. So he he sends out I won't give out too much, but it's not anything you can't find out via trailer. But yeah, he sends out a tweet which he is very dismissive about and pretty oblivious as to what social media is and how fast it works and what it can do, but sends out a simple tweet thinking that it's just nothing, and then it blows up into a big thing, which is really a blessing in disguise for him, because it leads to him taking a chance with something that he's been hearing for a long time, and then realizing it's something he loves. It's connecting with himself, connecting with his son, who is very much estranged from. He is around him. It's not that he doesn't love his son, but he just was so focused on his career, and he was lost within himself, basically, if you ask me. And he wanted to do more. He wanted to be himself, express himself, as he said, just didn't have an outlet to do so. So in this happening and starting new and taking the chance with the food truck that he does get into, it really leads to big things, bigger things for him than he expected. It gave him the freedom and the mobility to move around and have people try his food. And, what started off as something he was very oblivious to and had no knowledge about turned into a great asset and a great tool in his kitchen, arsenal, really. I mean, because it really did. Because, it's not just about with social media as it is, and is such a normal commodity in our community out there. It's just everywhere. Learning to use it properly to your advantage is a big thing in real life, and is something he incorporates into his cooking with what he's doing. So it really is pretty cool to turn around, and the character growth that happens in the movie with him and him towards his son and him towards his ex-wife, because he is divorced in the movie, and him coming, realizing just what really matters to him. And Sophie Vergara, I believe is how you say it. I apologize if I'm butchering it. She plays his ex-wife, and is another smaller role that's in there. But she is the one who has kind of pushed him in a good way into going towards something he wants to do, the food truck. So she knows Martin, who is played by Robert Downey Jr., who's another small role in the movie, and he has the food truck essentially for him. So the offer has been there for a while. Hey, come check this out, come look at this truck type of thing. Never did, finally does. And it's funny to me just how Robert Downey Jr. just steals the scene that he's in with Jon Favreau. And I believe there is a small trailer or a small bit of that scene out there. I didn't watch it, but I saw like the thumbnail for it, and you can find it out there if you want to catch a little bit of a glimpse of that, or just watch. I say just watch the whole movie so you can see it. But yeah, the small part that he has in the film, it just cracks me up. He just completely stole it, and I think Favreau knew that going into it because they're buddies from Iron Man, and probably before that, to some extent, I'm sure. And yeah, it's just funny. His little scene is very, very funny. So his buddy, Jon Favreau's buddy, who's played by John Leguizamo, who his name is Martin in the movie, who comes with him on his journey and had his back, the whole time he was at the restaurant in L.A. and just stays with them through their journey with the food truck and everything that happens. It's very cool to see that, too, to see that friendship and that bond that he has with the friend. I like seeing that type of small things in movies because, I have very close, small, close-knit group of friends, that are very close and that are very much there for each other. For me personally, seeing that was a small little thing that, it meant something. It stuck out a little bit that was there and that camaraderie stuck through. So I like that aspect that was shown. I do like the fact that it is a family movie, but it's not solely centered around the family. That's a big part of it, but it's not like too over the top. It's not too mushy, for lack of a better term for it. It's not too much where you're like, oh, okay, this is another, family. There's a family that don't really get along. He's estranged from his son, but then he finds a way. You don't feel that. I didn't feel it. And I've had movies like that where, the subplot in there is, something with family or family oriented, and it kind of overcomes the story. And that wasn't the case. Favreau did a very, very excellent job of keeping balance between his cooking, which is, is a character itself, what he's cooking, and the food is a character itself in the movie, along with the family development and family growth that's there too. Just everything meshed really well, and it's very interesting to see him do another film like this as opposed to a big name film like, Marvel's, Iron Man 2, and something like that, Not saying that Chef is in any way not a great film comparatively, but it's just, it's a different setting. It's a totally different thing. This is more of a at heart movie as opposed to Marvel, which is, you have a setting set for you already. So I know that with a little bit of reading, the idea for Chef was pretty interesting from the article I read and what I've read about it, is that the idea just came suddenly. And I know that with my writing, I totally understand where he's coming from with that, because I know the writing that I have done with my own screenplays and such, a lot of them have come to me suddenly. I have a whole movie in mind that came from a song. that it just sparked. So I totally understand where he's coming from. But not to get off track here, it's funny and interesting to me that when he was discussing he said it had been a long time since he had had that inspiration, just that jolt of a movie. So when it hit him, he wrote down like 7 or 8 pages of excuse me, of outline for the movie itself when it came to him, and he built off of that. And it's very cool. It seems like him getting older, and a change in personal perspective as you do age, and your outlook on things change and everything like that. That he did another movie like this. I like it. I feel it was filmed very well. I didn't have any issues with how the movie looked, or any of the music that was in it, or any of the scenes that they were in. Locations is what I'm thinking of. The locations that they were, as they do travel around, in the food van, and the locations look great. Just everything about it was a really well put together movie. I don't personally have any low points to it. I try to find something that I could throw out there. I mean, maybe it's just me. I'm sure people are going to disagree with me, but for this one, I don't have anything really bad to say against it. It just was really well put together. I like that Jon Favreau was, he spoke to actual chefs and he worked with them to be shown to, how to cook properly, how to hold a blade properly, how to work in a kitchen, how to move, and how to get that groove going. And I understand that somewhat. I'm not in any sense a chef, but I've grown up with cooks, and I love to cook. So being in the kitchen and being around that, I kind of can understand it. And then my sister, has a restaurant, and they just got a food truck actually that's up and running, and I get to hear the stories of, kind of behind the scenes of what goes on with the restaurants. So it kind of hit home a little bit for me on that front too. Again, I'm not in the restaurant, but just hearing the stories and kind of seeing what happens to him, and seeing his thought and his frustrations, coming from her, and hearing what she has to say, definitely opens up my mind a little bit more, because it's not just I don't have, sorry, I'm adjusting. I don't have no idea at all as to what goes on, behind the kitchen. I mean, you could watch Hell's Kitchen and Top Chef and stuff like that, but that's TV, that's made to look pretty, stuff like that, yada yada. But having the real, nitty gritty truth of stuff like that, and hearing it from her and her business partner, who is a good friend of hers, and speaking to him and hearing what he has to say, because he's the actual chef in the restaurant, is very interesting. It was very cool. So watching the movie, I could understand from what they told me, like, oh, okay, it just was that type of moment. But yeah, I want to jump back to, I mentioned some of them, but some of the other smaller parts of cast members that are in there. Scarlett Johansson is in there. She plays the hostess in the restaurant he works in LA, and is a friend of Jon Favreau's. She is Molly in the movie. And also you have Oliver Platt. We all love Oliver Platt. He's been in so much stuff. And he plays Ramsey Michael. He plays a food critic, which his character plays a pretty essential role to Jon Favreau's in the movie, which you'll see. I mentioned John Leguizamo. I mentioned Robert Downey Jr., Sofia Vergara. She plays, the ex-wife, like I mentioned. So they have a great cast, great movie, great writing to it, just all around great movie. I definitely give it, 4 out of 5 right off the bat. You might ask, why not 5 out of 5? It's just, that's what comes to mind with me if I were to rate it, 4 out of 5. It was a great movie. I loved it. I really do. I recommend it to everybody. But at the same time, it didn't, blow me away, which wasn't what it was there for. But it was simple, it was well done, and I really liked it. So 4 out of 5 is what I give it. I definitely recommend it to everyone, as I stated. Check it out. Find it at a Redbox. Find it on DVD, because I may not be on DVD yet, because it's still pretty new. But find it. Find it somewhere. Find it on Hulu Plus, if it's there, any movie thing on your direct your cable boxes options for those. I forget what it's called. I don't have cable, but I don't know. You can find it, but find it out there. Watch it. It's a very good movie. We will have some more reviews coming at you very soon. I will be doing. I'm still up in the air on what the schedule is going to look like, but we will definitely be seeing a lot more of it. So you guys check out the movie Chef, Jon Favreau, written and directed. And as always, have fun, be safe, lots of love. Big M is out.
When my pen hits paper, it's atomic warfare. Comet in the fourth gear, I bomb and provoke fear. If you want it, oh dear, out goes rough and psych. I'll butcher that, I'll put you to a suture fucking knife. Lash at whoever, and I'll go. I'll file you, tie a rope around the